We're going to see how much you know tonight. Okay, a little bit of things, but see how much you know tonight. Number one.
Quiz.
Okay, Parshas Bo. According to Rashi, and according to many of the commentaries, the Meforshim, if the Torah was going to begin, what would be the first pasuk of the Torah? We know the first pasuk is Bereshit bara Elokim, Hashem created in the beginning. But that's not what the Chazal say. What would be the first pasuk of the Torah?
Aleph something?
Nope. Perik Yud Beis pasuk Aleph. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe vel Aaron be'eretz Mitzrayim lemor. Hashem said to Moshe and Aaron in Egypt, HaChodesh hazeh lochem Rosh Chadoshim.
Rosh Chodesh.
Rosh Chodesh.
Nisan.
Right. Because this is the first time
First month.
that Hashem gave mitzvos to the Jewish people. So, everything up till now, even though we have in Bereshit 3 mitzvot, we have Peru Avu and Mila and Yirat Hashem, but everything up till now is more or less history.
Yes.
Adam, Noach, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, stories, Mitzrayim, everything is more or less history. But if I had the choice, the first pasuk of the Torah would be this week's parsha. This was where the Torah would begin.
Mitzvot.
Mitzvot. Okay, number one. Number two, if you got a calendar, let's say in the desert, as you were leaving Egypt or you were in the desert, and the yeshivas were going to send out calendars. You know, the yeshiva sends out calendars to raise money.
Yeah.
Let's say they sent you a calendar. What would be the name of the first month in the calendar?
Nisan.
Nisan. And the second month?
Tishrei.
What?
Tishrei.
No, the second month is not Tishrei.
Oh.
Iyar, Sivan.
Sivan, yeah.
So the answer to that is wrong answer. Try again. You got a calendar.
Tishrei.
What will be the first month?
Before Nisan something, when we...
That's Adar.
Adar?
Is that your answer? Try again. I'm selling you a calendar in the desert.
Iyar.
The answer is, when you open up the calendar, the first month says Chodesh Rishon, first month.
No, first.
That's it. What's the second month called? Chodesh
Shini.
Sheni. What's the third month called?
Shlishi.
See how easy you get a hold of this? See that? Look how quickly you learned. Chodesh Revi. They had no names, right? The names that we have, Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, comes from where?
Greece.
No. Babylonian. Bavel. Persia. The first time we have mention of Nisan or Sivan or Adar is in Megillat Esther.
Second Beit Mikdash.
Yes. So they leave Egypt. They're in the desert for 40 years.
1, 2.
Then they're in Israel for 480 years before they have the Mishkan. Then they have the first place of Midrash for 410 years. So for almost 1,000 years, every calendar had month 1, month 2, month 3. No names. Okay? So now, these names, Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, are they Jewish names or are they Babylonian names?
Babylonian.
Babylonian. Tammuz, believe it or not, was the name of a Babylonian god, an Avodah Zarah.
Why is it good?
And why would we use those names? Tammuz.
Tammuz.
But what makes it even stranger is the Chazal, the Meforshim, give you a drasha. Nisan comes from the word nes, miracle, because in Nisan, miracles happened in Egypt.
Yes.
That's crazy. It's not a Hebrew word. Elu, ani lidodi, vidodi li. What's Elul? Elul is not a Jewish word. It's like me taking the, September and saying September stands for see, empathize, be patient. learn Talmud. September is a Roman word. It means nothing. Why am I making drushas on English words? It doesn't make sense. These are not Hebrew words.
September is not the number.
And September, July.
October
July is for
October
Julius
Octo-
Caesar.
October is 8, but September
Okay.
is 7. I don't know why it's...
And August is for Augustus Caesar. So we should make a drasha from the word August. Av. The Beis HaMikdash was destroyed in Chodesh Av. Av to tell you that even when Hashem destroyed the Beis HaMikdash, he was like a father to you. Hello? Av is a Babylonian word. It's like June. It's like July. It's like May. It's not Hebrew. Why am I making drashot on
Adar
foreign
Mat-
languages?
Adar.
Adar is not Hebrew. So, Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky has a whole thing about this. The first thing Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky says is, why did they change the calendar and take on these months? So he says a very interesting thing. He says, and we'll first come back to this week's parsha, to what we said a few weeks ago. The Jewish people are in Egypt. How many years are they supposed to be in Egypt? 430 years, or 400 years, depending where you're counting. How many years were they actually in Egypt? 210. And they were slaves for 86 years. What happened? What happened was the people started going down so quickly, they were almost at the 49th level of Tumah. Had they dropped further, we would never have been able to save them. The destruction would have been, the spiritual destruction would have been complete. So Hashem says to Moshe, go to Paro and ask Paro for a favor. 3-day Shabbaton. We're going to go into the desert for 3 days. We're going to sing songs. We're going to learn Torah. And we'll raise the people up. And we'll do this every once in a while so they can stay for the 430 years. That was the plan. Had Paro said yes, he would have lived long, he would have lived nicely, and the Jews would have stayed there 430 years. Paro said, no way, you're going to tell me, he started swinging and arguing. Who was Paro hurting? Himself. And it's surprising because he had vision. He could read the stars. He could read the celestial forces in the world. Had he listened, he would have benefited. In the end, he said no. So Hashem says, if the answer is no, I got to get the Jews out faster. So therefore, the slavery became intense. The clock sped up. And then he took the Jews out. The Egyptians were beaten down into the ground, literally beaten in 1,000 different ways, which we'll talk about when I come back from Israel. I have a whole thing for next week, but I won't be here. They were beaten, and the Jews left Egypt. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky says, after the first Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, the same problem existed in Bavel. The Jews were just falling apart. It was bad. When Ezra came back, half the Jews, maybe more, were all intermarried. The Jewish identity was going to disappear. And we know this. We know this because it was very hard to tell your daughter, don't marry someone not Jewish, when she would turn to you and say, well, Esther did. And look how successful she was. It was hard. So Hashem said, I got to take the Jews out of Bavel. By right, we should have stayed in Bavel for many more years. So Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky says, when they came out of Bavel, they were still in Galut. And the Chachamim wanted them to know that. So they changed everything. The Talmud that we learn is Babylonian, is written in Aramaic. Books were written in Aramaic. The calendar was changed to be Aramaic. Why do we use a calendar that says January, February, March? To remind us, are we home yet? No, we're in Galut. It's interesting, Yechezkel doesn't talk about the second Beit HaMikdash. He talks about the third Beit HaMikdash. So what about the second? It was a mistake. There was no Shekhinah, there was no Urim V'Tumim, there was no Aron Kodesh. Things were missing. It was there just to stop the slide into assimilation, intermarriage. That's what it was there for. Now, Torah flourished, the Talmud flourished, more than in Israel. It accomplished a lot. But it was simply what we call a Band-Aid. Because we were going to go from the first Beit HaMikdash to the third Beit HaMikdash. The second was there just as a Band-Aid. It was there for a short term. So Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky says that the months were part of a effort to remind Jews, you are still in Galut even when you're in Israel. You don't have your own calendar. You're using the Babylonian calendar. Now, in Navi, in Malachim, it talks about Cheshvan. It calls Cheshvan the month of Bul, which means Mabul, flood. Iyar, the month of Ziv, which means to grow. Tishrei, Yerech Esanim, the month of the mighty, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. So we have certain words. The Bnei Yissaschar says something a little different. Interesting. The Bnei Yissaschar is a book on every month. It goes through every month, and it gives you all the hidden secrets of the month, and all the constellations, and what they mean, and the power, and which month is fire and water, which month is for which shaven. The Bnei Yissaschar goes through all the Kabbalistic hidden meaning behind the months. He says that the months are listed in the Onkelos, in the Targum. And there's a Gemara that says that the Targum was given to Moshe Rabbeinu at Har Sinai.
What's Targum?
When you look at a Chumash, you have the Hebrew here, and you have the Targum. It's called the Aramaic translation.
By Onkelos.
By Onkelos.
You do the two.
But the Gemara seems to say that this Targum Onkelos, that Onkelos wrote thousands of years later, was actually written or taught to Moshe at Har Sinai.
Targum is a person name? Or is
Yeah, it was the name of Onkelos was the name of the person.
Yeah, the Targum
Is the translation. So the translation of Onkelos, which has secrets behind it, was taught to Moshe. If that's true, then Moshe was taught the names, Nisan, Iyar, because those months are in the Targum. So there's the Bnei Yissaschar says, yes, it's true, these months are Babylonian names, but they're Jewish in nature because Moshe was taught it. And I'll give you an example. The name Moshe, Mem Shin He. If I switch around the letters, it spells Hashem. Moshe was close to Hashem. I told you last time the Vav is missing because he forgot 6 halachot. At some point, someone should say, time out, hold on, Moshe is not a Jewish name. Who gave him the name?
Daughter of Pharaoh.
Daughter of Pharaoh. It's an Egyptian name.
Water.
What am I making droshot on Egyptian names? Another Egyptian name is Ramses. What drosha do you have about Ramses? We don't make drosha on that. But then again, Ephraim was an Egyptian name. And Shifra and Puah were Egyptian names. And Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were from Aram Naharaim names. They weren't Jewish names. But once they became part of the Torah, and once Moshe Rabbeinu used it and incorporated it into the Torah, it became Jewish. That means many religions, many languages are really from many different sources. Very often Rashi will take a word in the Torah and give us the French translation. What does it help me knowing the French translation?
Yeah, I couldn't get it. Why always put the French?
French, because Rashi lived in France.
Yeah,
but what he was saying to you was that when they left Mitzrayim, there was the R.Rabbi. They had the languages from all over. And tefillin, totofot, Rashi says, is an African word. So we have Hebrew words that are African words. So what makes them Hebrew? We make the Rashot on them because once they're incorporated into the Torah, they got a certain level of Kedusha. So the Bnei Yissaschar says that these Babylonian names were taught to Moshe. Once they were taught to Moshe, they became holy. And now I can say Ani L'Dodi, V'Dodi Li, Elul, and Tishrei, and Kislev. You know, I can make all these droshos. But until then, I really couldn't. So I found that to be very, very interesting. Let's go another step. It says in Parshas Bo that the Jews were in Galut 430 years, which goes all the way back to when Avraham Avinu was told. So they all asked the obvious question, but that's not true. They were really only in Mitzrayim for 210 years. Why am I writing 430? So I saw a very interesting answer. Let's say a person goes to the doctor, and the doctor says to them, I did a test on you, and you have a certain gene that could develop to be cancerous. Now, there are certain genes. We're going to have to watch it closely. Okay? When do you begin to worry about this problem?
When I told you.
When he told you. But it didn't, but it could. It hasn't happened yet. But when you know, you've already prepared. You're already getting gray hair over it, you're already worried about it, everything else. Hashem told Abraham, your children are going to be slaves, you're going to be in Galut, right? That was 430 years ago. The minute Hashem told Abraham this, Abraham already began to worry. So did Yitzchak, so did Yaakov, so did Reuven, so did Shimon. Everybody started to worry about it. So when did the Galut really begin? When they got the news.
Yeah, Abraham.
Right? That was 430 years ago. It doesn't mean they were actually in Egypt for 430 years, but they began to worry about it. They began to be upset about it from way back when. Okay. Next. This past week was Rosh Chodesh Shvat. Trivia. Where in the Torah do we have Rosh Chodesh Shvat written in the Torah? Now, Shvat is the 11th month. So it doesn't say Shvat. I told you this has the 11th. It says on the 11th month, on the first day. What happened? It's in the Torah. What happened this past week, Rosh Chodesh Shvat, is the anniversary of what event that happened in the Torah?
Jews left Egypt.
No, they left in Nisan.
Torah, they got Torah.
No, they had the Torah in Sivan. Shavuot. Okay? Trivia. Those things. Know what the answer is? It says in the beginning of the book of Devarim, and it was on the first day of the 11th month, Moshe taught the Jewish people Sefer Devarim. The whole book of Devarim started from Rosh Chodesh Shvat until the 7th day of Adar. It was 5 weeks. So if someone says to you, what happened Rosh Chodesh Shvat? Moshe Rabbeinu taught the entire book of Devarim to the Jewish people. And it says clearly, on the 11th month, on the first day, it brings down Rosh Chodesh Shvat.
In previous parasha, the previous?
Not previous parasha, Devarim. We're in Bo, we're in the middle of Shemos. Okay, next. Malchas Choshech. Malchas darkness comes and goes. What happens? Paro calls Moshe in. And Paro is furious. And he says to Moshe, I've had it. Don't ever come back again. The next time I see you, I will kill you. That means until now, Paro never killed Moshe. He wanted to beat Moshe. He didn't want to kill Moshe. The truth is, maybe he remembered that he once tried to kill Moshe, and that didn't go well. So maybe that's... What?
He has the power to kill?
Paro was a king. He could have the power to kill. Hashem could protect, but, we don't know what kind of miracles Hashem will do publicly. But Paro never said to Moshe, I'm going to kill you. He didn't want to kill him. He wanted to beat him. You understand? I wrote up there was a Bet Din that put a person in Cherem. And I wrote up a whole thing that they didn't have the right to do it. It was wrong for 5 different reasons. So when this guy showed it to the person in the Bet Din, the guy in the Bet Din tore it up. So he said to me, what did that mean? I said, I'll tell you what it meant. It meant that I was right. Because if I was wrong, he would say, no, that's not right. I'll explain this. He would answer the questions that I had. I had a whole list of questions. But when you don't have words, what do? You tear things up. That's what happens. We say to our children, don't fight, use your words. Right? So I said to him, the fact that he looked at it and he didn't have an answer, other than, I knew right away I was right. I knew right away I was right. End of story. It's interesting. He knew I was right. So Moshe gets very angry at Paro. Paro yells at him, don't ever come back here again. I come back here again, I'm going to kill you. So the Medrash says that Moshe walked up to Paro and smacked him across the face.
Which middle
The Medrash says this on this parsha.
And then,
Never heard that. Now, let's understand this. Why did Moshe do that? Moshe got angry also. It says that Moshe turned around, he left B'chariaf. Moshe also was angry the way Paro spoke to him. Moshe didn't appreciate that type of speech. So there's a fascinating pirush, a fascinating interpretation. Every firstborn of Egypt was going to die. Every firstborn. Paro was a firstborn. Did Paro die?
No.
He didn't die. This pirush says, why didn't Paro die?
why?
He says, because when Moshe slapped him, Moshe embarrassed him. When you embarrass a person publicly, it's like you killed him. So by doing this, Moshe saved Paro's life.
No.
That means Paro was dead already,
Wow.
so he didn't die. So what you saw as, whoa, Moshe smacked him, what kind of chutzpah, saved Paro's life. Then the Pirush says, why did Moshe do that? Because he owed Paro hakarat hatov. Paro took him in. Paro clothed him, fed him, trained him.
He'll die now.
Right? Moshe said, as bad as he is, I'm going to save his life. They say Bitya, Moshe's adopted mother, was also a firstborn. And she should have also died. But she didn't, because she served Moshe. So Moshe learned that when you do something good for somebody else, it gives you a free pass. It's called hakarat hatov. When someone does a good deed for you, that good deed can give you a free pass. It's a fascinating thing. So here, Paro is stunned by Moshe's actions, and as a result, his life is saved. Paro didn't die. Now, eventually, Paro became the king of Nineveh, and all these medrashim.
But Paro didn't know at that time that.
He didn't know.
How come he didn't kill him?
He didn't. He was just shocked. He was just shocked.
Confused.
Yeah, it was just.
Don't know what to do.
It was just out of the blue.
He's not reacting.
He didn't react. It was just out of the blue. Then Moshe left. You have that also. A lot of times, people are accosted, and then they afterwards, when someone hits them or pushes them, they think in their mind, they live it over again. I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have said this. I should have done that. Not everybody can answer right away on their feet. It's not easy to do. They should have done that. It's not easy to do. I'm learning with someone Navi. I've gone through Navi many, many times. I want to share with you a Gemara, a Yerushalmi. I photocopied it here. I once said it to you years ago, but I'm going to say it to you again. It's a fascinating Yerushalmi. There's a story that when Moshe went down to Egypt the first time, he heard children crying from the pyramids, inside the pyramids. So he said to Hashem, how could you be so cruel to allow these children to be buried alive? So Hashem said to Moshe, okay, you seem to think you can run the world better than me. Save one. He said, I want that one. That was Micha. Micha then one day took silver from his mother, and he made a little idol for himself. And he was the one who had the gold plate that threw it into the fire and made the golden calf. So Pesel Micha, this idol of Micha, left Egypt. And he built a little temple all the way up north in Shevet Dan. The Gemara says that when he would burn things on his little mizbeach, the smoke that went up mixed with the smoke from the Beit HaMikdash. And the angel says, how could this be? This is horrible. We want to blow a wind and separate the smoke. And Hashem said, no, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. But it's idol worship. Leave it alone. Now I'm going to read you the Yerushalmi. It's a Yerushalmi in Brachot. Listen to this Yerushalmi. Rav Chuna v'Shimon Kamatria v'Shem Rav Shmuel bar Nachman. They said as follows. There was a fellow, his name was Yehonasan, ben Gershom, ben Moshe. Moshe's grandson. Okay? He was traveling and came to this temple of Micha. Micha said to him, so tell me, what do you do? He said, I'm unemployed. But I'm a Levi. My father, my grandfather were Levis. We were the original Levis. Moshe Rabbeinu was a Levi. He says, wow, a real Levi? How would you like to be a Kohen? He says, well, actually, my grandfather was a Kohen. Technically, my grandfather was a Kohen. You're perfect. I need a Kohen for my idol. He says, no problem. I'll take the job. You know, he was looking for a job. It was between opportunities.
Wow.
So he took the job. Then the Gemara says, Komer Hoyela Avodazara, he was the priest for this idol. Ve'herich yamim, and Hashem blessed him with long life. He lived hundreds of years. Moshe's grandson.
How is that?
How? So then the Gemara says, how come he lived so long? So he says, people used to be travelers. And when they traveled and they came to this temple of Micha, they said, you know, we want to bring a gift to your God, to your idol, to your God. So this Yehonasan says, well, what do you want to bring? He says, well, we want to bring a sheep. We want to bring a goat, a cow. He says, you're a silly person. Why would you bring an animal to a piece of metal? The metal doesn't smell, doesn't talk, doesn't see, doesn't hear, doesn't eat. I mean, what are you doing? It says, lo roev, lo shomas, lo ocheles, lo shosa, doesn't eat, doesn't drink, doesn't do good, doesn't do bad, doesn't do anything. This is what Yehonasan said, this guy Yehonasan.
But he is right. If he says he's helping people to understand.
1 second. Let's read it. So then the person would say, but I want to bring a gift. I want to bring a present to your God. What should I do? He says, I'll tell you what we should do. Bring me some flour. Bring me 10 eggs. I'll bake the flour into bread. And I'll make an omelet. A chavita, an omelet. You'll eat a good breakfast. I'll have a good breakfast. And the gods will bless you. Go on your way. And that's what he did. That's what he did. So so that it says over here, because he did kindness to people, he got them not to waste their money, and he got them to eat a decent meal. Hashem rewarded him with long life. Even though he was involved in this Pesel Micha, which was an idol.
Okay, in first place, if he understood before people, this is idol, why he took this job?
Okay, so then the Gemara says, let's read on. You could have written this Gemara. You're a very smart woman. See, I know that. I know that about you. I've known you for so many years. I know that you're a Talmid Chachama.
That's why he wrote this.
That's why I know that she... So the Gemara says that one day, David HaMelech, King David, So he lived long enough to see King David, David HaMelech.
This is grandson of Moshe Rabbeinu.
Moshe Rabbeinu's grandson. David HaMelech says, I can't believe that we still have this idol Micha going on over there. And he calls him in and he says to him, how could the grandson of such a big tzaddik like Moshe, who you clearly know how useless this idol is, why do you do it? Why do you do it? So look what he answered. Omar Le, he said to David, Kach ani mekubal mi beit avi abba. My grandfather Moshe once told me the following. Mechor atzmecho lavoda zara. Sell yourself even to an idol. Va'al titz tarich labriot. But don't become a burden on people collecting money. He said to David, I have no job. I'm starving. I couldn't feed my family.
Work by yourself, but not collect money from people.
So what was my choice? I could go around door to door collecting money. But I have a tradition from Moshe that says, take any job, even be an idol worshiper. But don't bother people for money. It's fascinating. What?
It's a trick.
1 second. I'm not finished yet.
It's probably this Moshe Rabbeinu's bad experience with collecting gold.
So, you know what? Smart man here, smart man. Smart man. I have a different experience. So you understand, I can tell you a different experience. I have a guy who, for the last few years, collects money in Lakewood and Queens, all over the place. He has letters from the VAR. And many times I said to him, what are you doing? You have skills. Get a real job. And you know what he says to me? This is my job. I get up in the morning, I get into a car with a bunch of other people, we go door to door, I collect money, I make good money. I make good money, and I don't pay taxes on it, it's all cash. This is my job, he says. You want me to what, to work in an office somewhere? This is my job.
He collects for himself,
Forget for himself, of course.
so he's a millionaire.
So, what?
He's a millionaire now.
Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, he has hakarat tov to me. So he's buying a house for $800,000.
Oh,
He's putting down $250,000, and he wants me to do the mortgage. He figures I'll come and do the mortgage. So here's a guy who's coming around and knocking on your doors. He collects $1 or $5, whatever it is. He's buying a house for $800,000, and he's putting down $250,000. He's better than me, you know. Not bad, right? That's his job. Okay? So it's obviously not very comfortable. But I'm stuck. Because I can't call the VAR to say anything because I have confidentiality. I have to protect I'm not allowed to share information. So I'm stuck. I can't tell people, who he is. I'm stuck. Anyway, Omar Le, David said to this Yehonasan, Chas v'sholom, God forbid, lo Omar Cain, Moshe never told you that. You didn't hear what he said. He said to you as follows, Mechor atzmacha, sell yourself, la'avoda, to any job. Shehi zora lach, even if you don't know how to do the job, and don't collect. Meaning, if you don't have a job, take any job. Drive an Uber, drive for Lyft, drive a taxi, flip burgers at McDonald's, but don't go collecting money. He didn't say go worship idols or work for the church. What he said was, if you lose your job, try to find other jobs, any job you can, but don't be a collector. That's very different. I remember that I was once called to testify in court about a fellow who was making $100,000 a year. He lost his job and he got divorced. So now when his wife says, I need child support, he says, I have no money. So I found him a job at Tiferet Moshe, earning $60,000 a year. He said to me, I'm not taking that job. I said, why not? You're perfect for it. He says, I'm $100,000 a year guy.
yeah, how I go down.
I should go down to $60,000? I said, I understand. But 60,000 is better than zero. You have 3 little kids. You gotta feed them. They need food. Your kids are not gonna wait for you to find the $100,000 job. No. They went to court. The judge called me in, put me under oath. Did you find them such a job? I said, yes. She says, as far as I'm concerned, he should have taken the job. He said to him, I look to you like you make $60,000 a year. You have to pay child support $2,500 a month. If you don't do it, I'm going to throw you in jail. The guy says, but I didn't take the job. He says, you should have taken the job. I suggest you go out there and find a different job. So that's called impugning the salary. Right?
Push you.
A lot
Push.
of people who
Because
get
city don't want to
divorced,
pay.
They don't want to pay. They don't want to have nothing to do
That's
with
correct.
wife and kids.
They divorced their wife, they divorced their kids at the same time. That's wrong. But I understand that. I fight for that. I fight every day I deal with that. But what I'm saying to you is, David said to this guy, that's not what Moshe said to you. Moshe said to you, find a job. He didn't say worship idols. Anyway, the Gemara goes on. David says to the guy, I see that the whole problem here is money. I'm going to hire you, he says. You're going to be in charge of my warehouses. And I'm going to pay. How much do you make at this job? $100,000 a year? I'll pay you $100,000 a year. Move to Jerusalem and work for me. And the guy said, okay, deal. And for years, he worked by David HaMelech in Jerusalem. And they changed his name to Shvuel. Shvuel means Shavuel. He returned back to Hashem. He became a Baal Tshuva. But David was a Democrat. He believed in big government. When Shlomo took over, Shlomo was a Republican. He believed in small governments. He believed in building walls. So, Shlomo HaMelech says, what do you do? It says here we pay you $100,000 a year. What do you do? He said, I really don't do anything. It was just a job your father created. He said, well, I'm not going to pay you $100,000, to do nothing. So he fired him. He tried to find a different job. He couldn't. So he went back up north and opened up his temple again because it worked so well in the past. He went back to what he do best. And the Gemara says, "V'chazar l'kilkulo harisho." He went back and did his old tricks again. And Pesel Micha continued on and on and on until the days of Shlomo, till well after, this guy. But what I found fascinating is that all of his success was based on the fact that he did kindness to other people. And Hashem says, oh, you're a kind person, you'll live long, you'll be successful, you'll be prosperous. But it's idol worship. I'll give you a free pass. It's a shocking Gemara. It's a Gemara that's a Yerushalmi. It's a shocking Gemara that a person can give a free pass because they do good stuff.
Why Moshe told him don't gather the money, don't collect the money? Why? What was
I guess he did not want that you should become a burden on the community. That means we have social programs. We have Social Security. But the truth is, Social Security, which was started, I guess, by Roosevelt, you pay into when you work, that you should have something for when you retire. Okay? Then came Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps. There was a need for the government to take care of their citizens. But it wasn't meant to be abused. Tell me something. If you would meet this guy in shul, and you say to him, what do you do for a living? He says, I'm a professional collector. I collect for myself. What would you say to him?
go to work?
Go to work. That means, why? Isn't it a mitzvah to give someone tzedakah? Yes, it's a mitzvah to give someone, but there's so many people out there. I know people out there. I have a lady who I spent on the phone today for a while. I can't help her. She married a fellow, second marriage for her, second marriage for him. And he got cancer. He had a brain tumor. He's in a wheelchair. So here she's a young woman that she's 50. And she's taking care of a husband who is not a husband. Can't give her love, can't give her affection, can't even really talk to her. They have a full-time aide. She has no skills. So they're living literally hand to mouth. Whatever money people send her, she's 24/7 trying to take care of a sick husband who's going to die one day. She has nothing for herself. She can't even get out of the house. She can't even, she is just going downhill. And money could help her a little bit if she had some money. But I said to her, why'd you get a job as a babysitter? No, right next door there's a babysitter and there's no job for me. There was nothing. You can't help this woman. You can't cure his cancer. You can't cure he had a stroke. You can't help him. You can't help her. She can't get out of the house. She is in a spiral. So government comes in and says, okay, we'll give you food stamps. We'll help you a little bit. That's where tzedakah goes. See, there are people out there that are real tzedakah cases. But a guy who's healthy and simply says, I can run my own hours. When it's snowing out, I stay home. And I can collect money. And I can make millions of dollars.
Is it
Thousands.
allowed by the Torah? So they collect for themselves?
No.
They tzedakah for themselves.
So the Gemara says, if it wasn't for these crooks, every time a person asks you for money, if you didn't give it to them, you would be guilty of your life. Now you can say, I don't know if he's true. I don't know if he's real. He could be a faker. So we have to be thankful to the fakers. Because the fakers gives us a reason when someone knocks on our door, we don't answer the door. Maybe Purim time we answer. But it's a difficult, from a hashkafa question, it's a very difficult question. It's a very, very difficult question.
Every day people come in synagogue when I pray in the morning.
Every day. They want quarters, 50 cents, $1.
In each like ulam, how to say, restaurant, yes?
Right.
Every time if we
A
go
wedding, anything, all the time.
Yeah.
like
3-4
like
come.
funeral, we have your side.
So we don't know what they do with the money.
A
There's
lot of
no-
Ashkenazi rabbis comes and collect money.
What they do with the
And
money?
if
For
you live in a
themselves?
home out there, Ephraim is a little bit different, but by my home, every day, at least 5 people come, and sometimes a car pulls up and 5 people come out of the car at one time, all collecting
Yeah.
for themselves.
Yeah. They come with the car.
Now-
They come with the cars.
I understand that. But, so my wife and I have conversations, because they're difficult questions. I mean, we give money to our children. My children, they're trying to get on their feet, they're working hard. But I have grandchildren, they want to take gymnastics, they want to know, we help them. We pay cell phone bills, we pay car bills, we pay gas, we pay insurance. If we're able to do it, we do it. So the old saying is charity begins at home. My wife, she has members of her family that don't make a lot of money. We help them, right? I'd rather help family before I help strangers,
Well,
right?
The
Or people who I know
Yes.
really are in difficult. Like this lady in Israel, she's real. I'd rather give her a few $100s than some person who says, I'm marrying off a daughter, I have 15 children, I have to buy them an apartment in Israel because that's how it goes. And I say to them, when I got married, no one bought me an apartment. When I moved to New York, I was renting my house for the first 19 years. I was like the shoemaker who had no shoes. I was getting mortgages for everybody, but I couldn't get one for myself because I didn't have enough income. Because I worked for a yeshiva who never paid me. And then when the yeshiva owed me $100,000, the head of the board said, I'll give you $10,000 to settle it. I said, 10,000, it's 10 cents on the dollar. He says, take it or you get nothing.
today it will become good business.
Okay?
So what should we do when the people come in the
So-
synagogue, they gather everybody, with cover the cars, 2, 3, like that?
And the answer is, I have no idea what to tell you.
If you don't give, it's like...
You can give a nickel, you can give a quarter, probably small things you can give. And then for the serious people who really need it, you should give a little bit more or more serious money. But it's a real question.
But what halacha says?
Halacha what doesn't say. Halacha says you give tzedakah to people who need it. How do you know if they need it or not? So you can give everybody a little bit, maybe. But sometimes you can't daven. Sometimes you're davening, and every 5 minutes there's someone else, and number one, it bothers you. Number two, if you give, then you're angry. Why did he bother me? If you don't give, then you feel bad. Either way, you lose. You came to shul to get closer to Hashem, and you walk out feeling like you're not good, like you're not a good person. But you are a good person. I'm davening, I go to work, I take care of my family. I am the definition of a good person. So why is this stranger making me feel bad? And that's how I feel. You go to the kotel, you can't walk 5 feet without someone coming. So I keep dollars in my pocket. I give a dollar, give a dollar. I had a lady come to me when we were leaving, my wife and I, last year. She says, I have like $51 bills. Could you give me a $50 bill? Because in Israel, you get more shekel with a $50 bill than the $1 bills. The money changers don't take $1 bills.
Too much.
Right. So the answer is, so we said, sure. We took her $51. We gave her a $50 bill. She was thrilled. And now we had $1 bills more to give out to everybody else. But, you know.
The shul I go every day, I mean not every day, they have a schedule. Monday this 2 person come.
That's right.
Tuesday this, Wednesday this, Friday this, Sunday this.
And
The
it
whole-
makes you
They know
feel
everybody
bad.
who gives dollar, who gives quarters, who gives.
And it makes you feel bad. It's a problem. It makes you feel bad.
And Rabbi already put them there. When I do the Shmona Israel,
Right.
even I'm repeating, don't take this.
Right. He knows what it is.
But anyway, any person come to asking you money, then God sent for this situation, but God actually sent. You should.
I have no idea if
Why?
God sent him. I don't know if God
50
sent him.
cents or $1, nothing for you.
No
so you
big
can-
deal.
No, yes, какой копейка.
You know, but it does,
No.
eventually it does pull you down. It does disturb your kavana. It
Oh, you
does,
got.
you know, it is, there's no solution. There's really no good answer to the solution. However, you should be aware that there are people out there who really need the money.
Yes,
And there are people out there who don't need it at all. So you should know there's both. There's those who are the scammers, and there's those who are real. You have to know that. I have a din Torah going, I'm trying to settle the case. An interesting case. I have a couple. They hired a contractor to fix things in the house, right? To do a bunch of things, put in new cabinets, whatever it is. This contractor and his designer, who's a frum lady, took from these people $30,000-$40,000. They didn't do anything. They walked away with all the money, disappeared. However, one thing they did do was, from some store in Borough Park, they ordered carpet. And the store put in the carpet. It was $4,000 of carpet. They put it to the house. These people gave the contractor a check, which said on it for the carpets. The lady, when she ordered the carpet, gave her credit card, and they put in the carpet. When the credit card bill came, the lady said to the credit card company, identity theft, I didn't order those carpets. So now the carpet company is suing the people, we want our $4,000. The people said, what do you want me for? I paid it, I have a check. I have a check to the contractor that I paid the $4,000. Well, but we put the carpet in your house. I didn't order the carpet for you, the contractor did. Whose name is on the invoice? The contractor. I paid the contractor. You have a claim, go to the contractor. We can't find the contractor, we know where you live.
She's right.
Who's right?
Wow.
The owner of house.
Is right.
She's right.
The answer is
No.
no. You see, the owner of the house was enriched by the carpet. The store put the carpet in her house. So she benefited directly from the carpet.
She put-
Who did she pay the money to? The contractor. What happens if I owe you $100 and I put a check in the mail and the letter gets lost, the post office loses it? Have I paid you for the money I owed
You're
you?
supposed to pay.
No,
No,
you didn't get it.
you didn't get it.
But you paid.
No.
Mailbox полетел, нас вы не взяли.
Someone stole it from the mailbox, I don't know. I didn't lend the post office money, I lent it to you. You have to pay me. The carpet people says, I put the carpet in your house. You gave the money to him, but I never got my money. I don't know about these people. I know one thing. Your house has my carpet. That costs $4,000. I'm trying to settle it out and everything else. But you see, halacha, even secular law is the same. It's very different than what we think. My first reaction was, of course she doesn't have to pay anything. She paid already. But when you think about it a little bit more, you realize
That is not fair.
it's not fair. The carpet guy is a victim here. No one stole his money. They stole my money. I paid the guy. They stole the homeowner's money. So you hired a thief. Why should I lose? I put in carpet. You're walking on my carpet. Life is not simple.
Yeah.
Life is not simple.
Yeah.
And of course,
But
these
the
people.
carpet sold the carpet to the thief lady with her credit card. So this is also
The
the.
lady offered to pay for it, yes, so it's gray. So I'm trying to do, I offered a compromise. Every deal, let's say $4,000, how much was really the carpet and what was the profit?
2,000,
Right.
1,000.
It's 2,000. So they agreed to pay 2,000. They agreed to pay half the bill, it was $2,150. So I said, come on, forget about the profit. They already got robbed, you didn't get your money. She'll pay you for the carpet, so you don't lose. You won't make money, but you won't lose. So he wants $2,900, she wants $2,150. We're about $700 apart. I'm still trying to negotiate.
The owner lost 32,000?
Yeah.
Huh?
What?
Owner lost 32,000?
So far, yeah, the owner lost all the money.
The check, couldn't stop the check?
No, they took it from home equity. The owners, and there were other people that were scammed, went to the DA's office and they filed a complaint, and they're gonna get these guys and they'll arrest them and we'll read about it in the newspaper.
Oh, they got them?
They're gonna find them, they'll find them. They're just a scam artist, it's a theft. But my interest is not the scam artist, and you go to the police and they do whatever you want.
They
You know.
do their job.
And even though she's a frum Jew, that doesn't give her a free pass to steal from people. I don't believe in that, you know. My business is, I got involved
So
because
the
the
money
carpet
stole-
person wanted a din Torah and it came to me, so I have to try to work out.
Person who stole was a firm Jew, lady?
Yeah, sure.
She got
Rabbi,
30,000.
Well,
this-
let me correct that. She says she's frum,
Oh,
right? If I steal from you, how religious am I? I can't fear God too much if I'm a thief. So there are a lot of fakers out there. She's a faker. She looks Jewish. She looks very religious. I'm sure on Rosh Hashanah and Kippur she shakes like the best of them. But she's a faker. What should I tell you? I don't respect fakers. I'd rather have a guy, maybe this is the wrong idea, I'd rather have a guy that drives on Shabbos, but this is an honest guy who says, I love God, but I wasn't raised this way. I mean, I can respect that. I'd rather have that than a person who pretends to be an Orthodox Jew and steals from people. I have no mercy for such people. So I'm trying to negotiate this. And it makes sense, right? Pay just for the cost, that everybody, you don't